Hey guys, welcome. This is Aaron and Miss Thomas over at Swirl Culinary again. Today we're going to do our cookie video. A lot of you guys wanted to do this for Halloween, so I got my Halloween cookie cutters. I'm ready to go, okay? All right, so let's go over ingredients real quick. This is super simple, 6 ingredients. Powdered sugar, a little bit of vanilla, baking powder, all-purpose flour, butter, softened, and we'll go over why. 1 egg, and then we'll also do the frosting, but we'll do that later, okay? So let's just work on the cookie for right now. So the first things first is we have our softened butter, guys. So what we're gonna do today, it's called creaming, and we're gonna mix our sugar and our butter together. The butter has to be soft. I recommend leaving it out room temperature for maybe 6 hours, and it'll get like this sort of soft texture. Like if it's hard, it's not gonna work, and if it's liquid, it's not gonna work. You want it right about here. So this is softened butter. You guys can see how just what it looks like. It's room temperature right now. Okay, so first things first. So today we're going to be using a KitchenAid. You guys can use a hand mixer, whatever you guys want to do. You can do this by hand. It'll just take a little bit longer, okay? So first things first, we're just going to put 1/2 cup of butter. 1/2 cup of butter is one of the smaller sticks, and you can see how it's measured out for you. So 1 stick of butter is about 8 tablespoons, and 8 tablespoons is about 1/2 cup, okay? So 1/2 cup. Today I'm going to use salted butter. You can use unsalted and control the amount of salt you put in there, but today I'm just going to use salted butter, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 1 cup of powdered sugar. Okay, so powdered sugar is basically just regular sugar, but it's been refined a little bit more, so it's more powdery. I feel like this mixes into the cookie better, okay? So we got our 1 cup. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our KitchenAid. Okay. Okay, so today we are going to be using, so these are a couple attachments that you might see with your KitchenAid. This one is for dough. This one is for whipping like heavy cream to turn it into whipped cream, for like making meringue with egg whites, stuff like that. Today we're going to be using this attachment. Okay, this works perfect for butter. It gets all along the sides. The butter is not going to get stuck in it like it would with that one. So if you see the attachments at home, this is the one you're going to go with, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my bowl on, make sure it's secure. And then I'm going to put the attachment on, okay? So before this gets too loud, I just want to explain what we're going to do here, okay, guys? So we're going to cream this butter. So I'm going to turn this on low speed, and I'm going to slowly add powdered sugar. You want to do this at slow speed. If you do it high, powdered sugar is going to poof up and get you in the face, okay? So just be careful with it, okay? So, and then we're going to do this for about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to start adding a couple other ingredients in here, okay? So let's just cream our butter real quick. Real quick, guys. Oh, I also forgot. Grab a rubber spatula because you're going to need to scrape the sides, okay? So just something like this, so you can get the butter off the sides and you can get it back down into the bowl, okay? So let's start creaming our butter. We're not plugged in. Apparently we're not plugged in, so let's get plugged in. I don't know if I'm plugged in. Okay, there we go. Oh, better. Okay, let's start creaming. Okay, so you can see how it's just mixing the butter. I'm going to slowly just start adding sugar in there. And probably always want to have a wet towel with you. This always makes a mess. Powdered sugar is always a mess. Same with flour, but it's the price we pay. Okay, so you can see how the sugar is starting to get mixed in with the butter. At this point, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm just going to scrape the sides real quick. Okay, I want to get everything back down in the center so the beater mixture thing can do its job, okay? I'm going to turn it back on. A little bit higher. Drop it. Put some more sugar. As you're dropping the sugar, drop the speed of the KitchenAid, okay? Okay, so that's our 1 cup of sugar in there, okay? So this is going to take about, I can turn it up now because the powdered sugar is basically in the butter. It's not going to poof anywhere. So I'm going to turn up the speed just a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a second and scrape the sides, okay? So we get the sides back down. So it's almost going to turn into like a cream cheese looking mixture. That's the texture I'm looking for, okay? You can get the stuff off the beaters, that's okay. We're going to do that in a minute anyway, so. Okay. So while this is mixing, I'm going to go grab a couple other ingredients. This is actually a good time to good time you can do a little bit of cleaning in between. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more scrape, another 30 seconds, and then we'll do the rest of it, okay? So scrape, 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 scrape. Okay, everything's back to the center of the bowl. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. You guys can see how like the texture has changed to that. It really does look like cream cheese. That's what you're looking for. You want it to be really soft. Just something that cook. This is gonna be our wet ingredients for our cookies. So this is our foundation right here, okay? So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one large egg. I'm gonna crack it into my bowl. And then I'm gonna put this right in. Let that incorporate. Okay, I'm also gonna do about a teaspoon of vanilla. And this just gives it that vanilla flavor. So 1 teaspoon right in there. Okay, so at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop it one more second, scrape it again, and then this will basically be our wet ingredients, okay? So you can see how much the egg has like made this wetter. So this is gonna be our liquid for our sugar cookies. Okay. We just want to get that egg fully incorporated. So you can start to see how it's getting in there right now. It's all becoming the same color. The texture is about where we want it. Okay guys, so that is our creamed butter, egg, and vanilla mixture. So what we're gonna do is we're just bring this up. Okay, so our next ingredient, so we're gonna get our dry ingredients together. So this is really simple. Let me grab a small bowl. Okay, so this is really easy. This is 1.5 cups of flour. So 1 cup. Okay. 1/2 cup. We're going to need a little bit of baking powder in there. So the baking powder is going to give our cookies the nice rise. It'll make them nice and poofy. So I'm going to do, let's see, that is 1/2 teaspoon. So that's 1/4, that's 1/2. So I want this amount of baking powder right in there, okay? Level it, get it right in there. Let me get a whisk so I can whisk this up. So anytime you have something added to your flour, always give it a whisk just to get it in. You can run it through the sifter. You know, a lot of people have those in their kitchens, so I'm just gonna whisk it up. Okay. Okay, so that is our dry ingredients. Like I said, if you used unsalted butter, you can add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt into this. No problem, but if you use salted butter, don't add any extra salt to it, okay? So that's our dry ingredients. So now we're gonna come back over to our stand mixer. And this is really important here, guys. I'm just trying to get this flour mixture in. I'm not beating this for a very long time. If I beat the flour for a really long time, it's gonna create gluten and it's gonna make it stretchy, and that's not what I want for cookie dough. I want the cookie dough to be like crumbly and soft. So all I'm gonna do is turn this on really low speed. And I'm just gonna slowly pour this in about half at a time, okay? Okay, gonna let that mix in. Okay, gonna get the rest in there. And I'm honestly just gonna let this go until all that flour starts to come together, and then I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna finish working this with my hand. I just like to use the stand mixer to get the flour in there. Okay, done. Okay, that's all I want the stand mixer for. So the rest I'm gonna do by hand. So get all the cookie dough off. Okay. Good. Okay, so now we're gonna come back over to our table. All right, so like I said, we're gonna start working this by hand. So have a little bit of flour ready to go. So anytime you're working with a baked good on a surface, just really lightly flour it. I'm not trying to add a lot more flour to this. I'm just making sure it doesn't stick at this point. So at this point, I'm gonna start grabbing the cookie dough and trying to form a ball with it. Okay, so you see what I'm doing? So now I'm gonna get it out of the bowl, okay? I'm just gonna put it right on my floured surface, get all the extras out. If there's flour left behind in the bowl, that's okay. If we need to add it, we will. And then I'm just gonna slowly work it. If you find a sticky spot, just grab a little bit more flour, press it in, not a lot. This is going to be a little bit sticky. That's okay, because we're going to add more flour when we roll it out. But basically, I'm just trying to get my cookie dough right now. I don't want to work it too much. I'm just trying to get it into a ball. So I can see there's like a sticky spot right there. So I'm going to add a little bit more flour right there, guys. Okay. So you can see how the cookie dough is coming together at this point, though. It's going to stick to your hands. That's life. Just sort of, you can either roll your hands together to sort of get it off, or you can go wash your hands. Okay. Okay, so that's basically my cookie dough ball. Get the rest in there. Okay. So you see how I didn't work it that much. I mean, I just made sure the flour is incorporated. It's still really pliable. It doesn't have a stretch to it. It's a little bit, it's soft. It's a little bit crumbly. That's okay. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna put it in some saran wrap, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna clean up everything here. So let's get it into our saran wrap. If you guys don't have saran wrap at home, Ziploc bag, just big enough to fit this, that'll work great. So all I'm gonna do right in the center. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is I don't want it to dry out. Okay, so I want my cookie dough to stay nice and soft. After it goes in the fridge for 15 minutes, remember it's gonna stiffen up a little bit. It's not because it's going stale or anything, that's a function of the butter rehardening. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for about 15 minutes, and then we'll start rolling it. I'll start going over all that stuff. Okay guys, so we'll see you in a minute when the cookie dough is ready to roll out. Cool. Okay, welcome back guys. Now we're gonna roll out our dough and make some icing for it. So this was in the fridge for about 15 minutes. This stays overnight, you can just leave it in. But the butter's gonna harden really hard and your dough's gonna feel really stiff. Let it sit out on the counter for about an hour wrapped, just so it doesn't dry out, but let the butter soften back up to room temperature basically. So we're gonna roll out today. So as we do anything, we want a lightly floured surface. Okay. Remember, I'm not trying to add more flour to the dough. I'm just trying to keep everything from sticking. I have my cookie cutters ready to go. I have a sheet pan with some parchment paper on it ready to go. That's gonna go in the oven. My oven is preheat at, so our ovens are a little different. I'm gonna do ours at 325. For you guys at home, I recommend 350, okay? It really just depends on what kind of cookie you want. Some people like a crispier cookie. I like a thick, doughy cookie. That's always what I feel like a sugar cookie should be. So, all right. So anything you use, you're gonna flour it just a little bit. So I'm gonna flour my rolling pin a little bit. Put that off to the side. Okay, so I'm gonna get my dough. Okay, I'm gonna plop that right down there, okay? All right, so basically, remember guys, this recipe scales up and down. You can make more. This will make maybe like 8 to 12 cookies, but you can absolutely make more, okay? So basically all I'm trying to do is flatten it out, give it a quick turn, press it back down, make sure it's not sticking, okay? So there's my dough. Okay, so I'm gonna make a real thick cookie today, so I'm not gonna even roll this out that much. But you just wanna do, you want a nice even thickness all throughout. And so remember guys, because whatever you don't cut out, you can always put the dough back together and continue to roll that out. So this is just my first roll at this point. Okay, so I got my cookie cutter. So I'm gonna do, let's start with one of each, okay? So I'm gonna flour my cookie cutter. So let's get us a ghost. Let's get us a skull. Let's see. So you always wanna do it as close to the edge as you can to actually get the full cookie shape, okay? So it's all about maximizing the room, okay? Okay, and let's get a bat. So let's just do 3 cookies. Okay, so there's my skull, there's my ghost, there's my bat. So the easiest way to do this is instead of just going right in and picking up your cookie, just tear the dough away from where your cookie is. And then if you have so the bat's a little bit more of a complicated shape, so if you're worried about ripping it or whatever, you can do this with a spatula and you can just get right up under. So I'm gonna grab my little thing. Yeah, you can use your bench scraper, you can use whatever you want. So my skull is gonna go right there. Okay. So you guys can sort of see how thick that dough is. You obviously can go thinner. I think this is perfect. Okay. Trim up my bat a little bit. Okay, so let's use the bench scraper to get the bat off. So see how easily he comes up like that? And then we're just gonna put the bat right there, okay? So before this point in the oven, if you don't want icing, you can obviously just sprinkle sugar right over the top of this, and it'll basically bake in. So a lot of sugar cookies have sugar right in the top. We're gonna ice ours. So let's get these in the oven, and then we'll go make our icing, okay? So like I said, my oven's at 325. I'm gonna set a timer for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna check on them, okay? These are industrial ovens, so they cook a lot faster than the ones at home, okay? All right, so that's our dough. Oh, just to show you guys real quick, so what you do is just, you just put your dough all back together, and then just continue to roll it out again. And then you get more cookies out of it that way, okay? Just roll it back out, okay? So that if you have extra dough, you can always keep doing that. Okay, so for icing, guys, so we're gonna make icing today. It is different than frosting. Frosting usually has butter in it, like if you guys have ever heard of like buttercream frosting or something like that. So we're gonna switch it up. I'm gonna use the whisk attachment. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so attach. So real quick, let's just go over ingredients for the icing. Once again, we're gonna use our powdered sugar, a little bit of the vanilla flavor. You can either use milk or water. It doesn't really matter. I feel like milk gives it a little extra flavor to it. And then we're going to use a little bit of the light corn syrup, okay, just to give it that nice sheen. If you want, you can use food coloring. There's a little chart on there telling what colors you get and how many drops. So that's always helpful. Since we have a ghost and we have a skull, I'm just going to do white today for you guys, okay? All right, so depending on how much icing you want, start with about a cup of powdered sugar, okay? And I mean, you can do like 3 cups, but you're just gonna alter how much liquid you put in there. So right in, try to get it as close to the center as you possibly can. Okay. Attachment back on. Okay. So remember, this is powdered sugar and it's gonna poof. So I'm gonna start this very low, just to start getting mixed. And I'm gonna slowly add about a tablespoon of milk or the water at a time. Okay, so about a tablespoon. Let's start with one and then let's see how that looks, okay? Okay, so that's a tablespoon of milk in there. And then you'll slowly start to see the powdered sugar start to get absorbed by that. I can already tell that's not good enough, so I'm gonna add another tablespoon. Okay, and then I'm gonna slowly turn this. If it gets a little, if it poofs, I'm gonna turn it back down, but I'm just gonna keep turning it up until nothing happens. You can see how it wants to poof a little bit. So this sort of, this is one of those that depends on personal preference. If you were making cinnamon rolls and you wanted a really thin icing, you're gonna add a little bit more milk. But we're icing cookies, so we're gonna make it kind of thick, okay, just so it sticks. So you can see how the icing is starting to form like that. So remember, guys, if you add too much the powdered sugar, you can always add a little more milk to thin it out, or you can add more powdered sugar to thicken it. But let's just take a look at it real quick. We'll see where we're at. So that's basically what I'm looking for. Okay. So as this as it sets up, it'll get a little bit thicker. So my icing is where I want it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of the vanilla and a little bit of corn syrup. So for the corn syrup, I'm thinking like 1 tablespoon, okay? And that'll just give it a nice gloss. So that's 1 tablespoon of corn syrup. Of course, slowly, so just let it go. And then let's do about a tablespoon of the vanilla, and that gives the icing a nice vanilla flavor. So I'm going to turn it up real quick just to get it all mixed in there. Okay guys, so I'm gonna just let this sit, pour it maybe into a bowl, so when I ice the cookies it'll go a little bit easier. But okay, I'm gonna let the cookies finish cooking and cooling. So you want your cookies nice and cool before you ice them, okay? If you do a warm cookie, the icing is just going to melt off of it, and you don't want that. So let your cookies cool completely. That's what we're going to do, and then I'll show you how to ice them, guys. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back, guys. We got our cookies out the oven. They have cooled down, so I just want you guys to see. So this is about the doneness of the cookie you want. You don't want a lot of brown unless you like it extra crispy, but you just want the bottom lightly browned, okay? Just like that. Okay, so before you ice, give your icing a quick stir. And we'll just do a couple here today, guys, okay? So let's do a ghost. So you can either spoon it over. Easiest way to do it is just basically just dunk them in. Bring them back up. Tip them over. We'll do a skull. So as the icing sits in it's a much thinner layer now on top of the cookie. So as it sits, it will start to dry. You can make extra food coloring. You can mix extra icing and put the food colorings in it. You can decorate these. You black just all the colors basically. You can do some eyeballs for the ghost, for like the bat. You could do the black icing and then do the trim and stuff. But yeah, so that's basically the sugar cookies with icing. I had a lot of fun making them in class with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, okay? All right, thank you so much. Bye.